Welcome back to the Dynasty Football Key. Hey, man, we had a crazy draft last night and wanted to jump on here, give a quick recap. Hey, really appreciate the support with us on the live last night, and let's jump right into it, man. Really, it was kind of crazy this draft we had. Um, we've got, oh man, I don't have to do a full recap, but man, it was just such a crazy draft. You got Caleb Williams, who we expected to go to the Bears, but a lot of other shakeups. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, we were expecting them to go 2 and 3. Marv, we were expecting to go 4. I actually had these top 6 picks in a row in my pick'em pool. Malik Neighbors, that's going to be great for Daniel Jones, and really Neighbors is going to be a target hog. Not too much other competition there. Let's keep it with the offensive fantasy relevant players. Michael Penix, that was one of the biggest risers, I think, after this draft, but we knew he had the talent. Guy was in the national champion game, and now he's going to get to learn from Kirk Cousins, and the team's got a lot of young weapons that he can grow with. Roma Dunze is going to be the wide receiver 3 for the Bears, but he's going to be able to grow with Caleb Williams. We won't expect Keenan Allen to be on that team probably after this year, but who knows? Still, I would think long term this is fine for Rome. It's just going to be tough. Seasonal leagues, not going to be wanting to target Roma Dunze. It kind of reminds me of a Jackson Smith and Jigba type situation. JJ McCarthy was penciled in for this team for the Vikings, so not surprised to see him go there. Was surprised to see the Vikings just trade up 1 pick to get there, but maybe the Broncos send an offer over to the Jets, and Jets are like, hey, if you really want McCarthy Vikings, you got to make that move now. He won't be sitting there because we're going to pull the trigger with the move with the Broncos. So Broncos do end up getting a quarterback in Bo Nix. So we had 6 quarterbacks go in this draft. That was, I think, a record. Brock Bowers goes to the Raiders, and Michael Mayer. It's going to be tough for him to emerge out of that situation as fantasy relevant. But even coming into the league, it was going to be tough sledding for Mayer. Just, he's a good blocker, sound all around, but didn't have the speed and some of the other things you need to really separate and get open in the NFL. We'll see what happens there, but absolutely Brock Bowers is going to be a huge target for that team. They didn't get a quarterback, so we'll see what they do next year. But right now it's Gardner Minshew. We'll see if Aiden O'Connell still has something to say about that as far as starting. But you've got the Jags taking Brian Thomas Jr., who I think could be their wide receiver 1. Christian Kirk was dealing with injuries. I think he even had surgery last season. And, they lost Calvin Ridley. They've got Gabe Davis in there. But I could absolutely see in 1 year time, Brian Thomas Jr. just being the lead for this team. And that could happen much sooner in this next 2024 season. You got Xavier Worthy. Chiefs traded up to get Xavier Worthy, fastest player in the draft. So another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. Won't have to worry about the suspension for Rashee Rice. And we had 2 other receivers go. One of them also named Xavier, but you got Ricky Pearsall to the 49ers, who have been in contract disputes with Brandon Ayuk, maybe even Debo. We'll see who they keep. Maybe they go all 3. I think that's what they said in their press conference. But that's one of those things that you just have to kind of say that on the spot. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those receivers gets moved in a trade today. They're in a Super Bowl window, so the smart thing would be to keep them. But the players know that they have an opportunity now to get paid, so they may want to be out and just worry about taking care of their families. And then, you've got the final trade of the night, Xavier Legette. Panthers had the 33rd pick. They decided to get that 5th-year option for Xavier Legette. So it makes sense from that standpoint. He just needs to be the guy for a 5th-year option to matter. Great speed, great size, can get downfield. Deontay Johnson, he's more of an intermediate area of the field type of wide receiver. Same with Adam Thielen. So this gives them someone that's actually different who can go out there, stretch the field. So I like it from that standpoint. And got a mock draft that I wanted to do based on that. So let's go ahead and jump into the mock draft. And I'll go ahead and get this situated. And let's see if there's any big shakeups that we can find here now that we've got some of these landing spots in. So I'll go ahead and just punch in all of these picks. I'm still taking Caleb Williams, number one. So that's locked in for me there. I've got at number two, I really do like what happened with the other quarterbacks, but man, it's definitely tough. I think from fantasy perspective, it's probably the move to go Jane Daniels. I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. here for now, but I will take Jane Daniels at 3. Give me Malik Neighbors at 4. And I mean, there's just so many quarterbacks. It's going to be crazy. But I will jump back into the quarterback room here. This is super flex. Drake may not have the most ideal landing spot, but he does have the prototypical size for a quarterback. Had the best age, I think, between him and McCarthy. But after that, you do still need to consider some of these other quarterbacks. You know, JJ McCarthy with the Minnesota Vikings. Let's just go full screen here. And let's see. So Penix, you're gonna have to wait on Penix. McCarthy is gonna get an early shot. I think he'll be starting day one. So I'm happy to get McCarthy there. And then you've got, let's see, Roma Dunze went pick 9. It's really hard to ignore that. So it's between him and Michael Penix Jr. I just think if you're desperate at quarterback, you go Michael Penix Jr. here. And it comes down to if you believe in Bo Nix or Rome. I'm going to go to Rome and Dunze. This one's going to be very tough because actually, F it. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy here. Give me the guy in the first round to the Chiefs. Fall for the trap, whatever you want to say. Take Rome and Dunze, who you have to wait probably till next season to get great production out of him. But that's fine. And it's going to come down to, do you need a quarterback? I'll take Bo Nix just based on it being super flex. Then I'll go Brock Bowers here. It's just hard to ignore him as a really good tight end. Not so sure about the quarterback play, but he's going to get time to develop. It's just not something where I'm expecting year one Brock Bowers to go off. So he's not a bad pick pretty much anywhere after where he's normally been going in that 1-7 on range. But you could absolutely see Worthy, getting more value if things break right his way. There's still a little risk with just historically receivers that size, but not going to worry too much about that. And we've got some other guys we don't want to forget about here between Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette. I just like the coaching staff with the 49ers, so that's the only reason I'm prioritizing him over Legette. I like the speed of Legette and the size. Only problem is there is other competition. So if I say that with Roma Dunze, that should also apply with Legette, even though the receivers around Legette and Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson may not be as awesome as the Chicago receivers, but the quarterback is just a different situation as well in Carolina. So got to factor that in as well. And right there is whoops, slept on Brian Thomas Jr. Gonna go ahead and fix that. It's my show, so I'll just make my change as I need to. Let's take out Bowers there. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. at least here. I might even punch him back in over Bo Nix. But for some reason he got buried there. Give me Bo Nix in the first round. Oh, sorry. Give me yeah, this will work. So Brian Thomas Jr. or Bo Nix. It's really just going to depend if you guys need a quarterback or not. I say you can't take Parasol over Bowers, so I'll go Bowers here, and yeah, we'll just do it like that. So those are the top guys who have been drafted. We can just keep going through the rest of this mock just to finish it off. But definitely wanted to get those top guys in. Give me Xavier Legette here. So we've got 14 drafted players so far, and of course, they're not going to stay in this order. You can see a running back go to a certain team, and then you vault them ahead. But really, for me, if I have a wide receiver going in the first round, I'm gonna go with the odds historically on that, and it's a decent bet. Yes, they don't all pan out, but them versus whatever receiver like an Adonai Mitchell or Lad McConkey or whomever goes in the next round, that's more of a risk than taking these guys. So as far as position to position, I'm taking the first rounders over the guys who go in the second round. Even if there's going to be someone who goes to the Bills here in this next round. Like, let's say the next player that goes pick 33 on the clock is the Bills. In that situation, people are going to potentially want to take him because he's got the quarterback where the other guys don't. And as much as we want that to work out, it could work out. It's just, I'm going to have to just make sure we all know that those first round talents, we cannot just let them fall too far. Maybe just the Bills landing spots one where you take the player over them. But other than that, got to be careful. I'll go with Trey Benson. I know a running back is going to go in this range at some point. I just can't see the running backs going in the first round now. Someone has to be, at the 12th spot coming off a championship and need a running back. So from here, we could pretty much just fill it out, go based on my board or just my BPA, just talent that I like here. I know everyone's got their own rankings for this part of the draft. Still, I would make sure to mix in who I think is the top running back and Jonathan Brooks. I really like Franklin. That's why I took him there. And I just think there's going to be more running backs that get pushed up in real drafts. Blake Corum could be that goal line guy. I'm going to take Jalen Wright, one of my other favorites. And we'll keep going through. I do believe one of these teams is going to go Keon Coleman. From everything I was seeing, a lot of people were still very high on Coleman. So I like him there. Roman Wilson out of Michigan didn't get a lot of opportunities relative to some other players, but he was definitely good in that championship game and across his career in college. So just don't want to sleep on him. And we'll go ahead and keep going through some of these receivers I like. I can see Marshawn Lloyd being right here if he goes to a good landing spot, or maybe earlier. I'll take Braylon Allen. He's the youngest running back here, so if he gets any sort of good landing spot, he's going to have the age on the side as well. At this point, I have been feeling fairly confident Devontae Walker is going to be drafted today, so I think he's going to have good draft capital based on his speed. He's one of the 4-3 type guys. Malachi Corley's been able to get open at will or just separate, break away from so many people. So I can definitely see him having a role. Right now, I saw just a projection on some draft capital. I think these tight ends are getting massively slept on. Give me Sennett, Sanders, all these guys. At least those two. I know some are pretty high on Stover as well. And we'll go back over to the receiver position. High on Jalen McMillan. Think he can produce just as well as the other Washington guy, or at least Polk. Polk's definitely got some good leadership traits, but McMillan's definitely has similar talent on the field. And okay, standing out a little bit. I'll still stick with Audric here in the late third, just because he had a really high PFF rush grade, and I'm thinking that one of these other receivers, like Jermaine Burton, who I think is the most talented player on the board, even above, the last pick I made. It's just off the field concern. So we want to see where that pans out. But he's one of the guys where they could actually just transcend the low draft capital, because we know that the low draft capital is coming from off the field concerns. So if he can get it together, he's probably worth one round higher than he was drafted in real life. And it's definitely worth going on a bit of a running back run. I'll go with Garindo. based on the athleticism from the combine, just to take that shot at this point. And I'm going to lock in some of the receivers that I like here. I will go with Javon Baker and Johnny Wilson. And this is really no particular order because really just wanted to show the drafted players and now just adding on there. I'll go after this pick, I'll take Will Shipley, but I want to get Malik Washington in here to start the fourth round. Then give me Will Shipley. I really think he's one of the great pass catching running backs. So I'll double tap on that with Dylan Lobb, who's also a great pass catching running back. Bucky Irving, same vein, probably could go ahead of Lobb, but it's more just a speed concern. I think Bucky will likely be getting drafted ahead of Lobb when it's all said and done. Give me Brendan Rice. Maybe the only thing that would hurt him is if he does go to the Bears now, who are really just going all in on receivers. Then in that spot, he'd have to wait. So hopefully, he gets to a spot where he can contribute early on. And any of these running backs can still get a great landing spot. So a lot of these guys, like even Cody Schrader, I mean, guys can play. Not a pass catcher, so not amazing for fantasy. But this late, it's fine. Luke McCaffrey, I think we might be taking him earlier after the draft. Give me a couple tight ends here at the end. I really like how smooth Jaheim Bell was in our last rookie spotlight series of him. I like him more than Theo Johnson, but Theo Johnson does have the athletic testing in his favor. But Bell looks smooth, was getting open, getting used as a receiver. I like that. I'm only fading Cowing due to the size, really short. So uh, he's actually listed taller here. I think he's 5'9". Give me Isaiah Davis, and I'll take the guy out of Troy Kamini Vidal. I could have taken Frank Gore tight in there as well. But that's it. Yeah, I mean, take a look at that first round top 12 picks. You know, it's definitely a bit of a shakeup. We've got solidified 6 quarterbacks in this draft. It's not just me. I mean, Bo Nix with 12 overall. I mean, if people are letting him fall to the second round, you got to take him. It doesn't matter. He's a first rounder for Dynasty rookie drafts. A lot of talent in this class. This is a loaded class. I'm looking at pick 12 and I'm excited. I'm I'm looking at pick 12 and I'm excited. Even though Pearsall and Leggett were first rounders to start the second here, uh I'm happy about that if I've got the 1-1 and 1-2 because that means you're also getting the first rounder in the second round here. So it's really good if you're a rebuilding team and have a bunch of picks. But absolutely loaded class. Love that draft that we had last night. So I'm excited to see what happens here on day 2. And guys, if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out, we have recently released the Phenom Finder, and Phenom Finder is really just here to help you be able to see who is, it's a player that we've identified as really being able to help you in some of your leagues. You know, if you're on the clock and you're trying to think, who's going to have a chance to emerge in a role, right, and do something here in the league. The Phenom Finder is going to help you do that. I can't show everything here. I have to block off some of this. You go over to the Patreon if you want to see the Phenom Finder. I've got some guys here I'm willing to show just on the lower end, but obviously Worthy is a little bit higher than some of these guys here. And I'll go ahead and pull up a graphic that we've got for actually how we would be showing you guys. So let's go ahead and switch screens. Pull this down and I'll show you guys the Phenom Finder. Yeah. Yeah, and I really appreciate the support that we've been getting from the live when we debuted it last night. All right, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. There we go. So yeah, this is the 2024 NFL Rookie Phenom Finder presented by Fantasy Good Sports and Dynasty Football Key. So again, blocked off some of this here, but you can see we've got Theo Johnson as the highest scoring tight end in this class. And you can see some of the other previous classes as well. In 2023, we had Luke Musgrave up there. Jelani Woods was up there. You might be able to guess who the other heads are down there. Um, here's some other positions. Running back, you can see the Jets in 2023 had the top scorer on the Phenom Finder, and in 2022 they also had the top scorer on the Phenom Finder in Brees Hall and Israel Abanikanda, receiver. It is a deep class. This page is full of guys. Not going to show who they are. Maybe if you know the top part of the forehead of the top left player, you can guess who that is. And this is what the other page will look like. So there's about 30 plus rookies that we already have the numbers on before the draft. We already had this debuted this before the draft last night. And you can see Rashi Rice. He was 37 on here. Zay Flowers, he was on there. But, look at the 2022 class. You can even see how Treylon Burks was one of the lowest rated guys here of anyone I've shown so far. And maybe it's not just helping you see who's a good upside player to take, but maybe someone who you want to avoid. Now, I always like to take things in context. Obviously, Treylon Burks is 225 pounds, one of the heaviest players at receiver, but really this is showing, hey, maybe he won't be able to separate, so he's going to have to rely on those jump balls or something like that. Uh, One of those things where we want to be able to provide the data for you guys. So we've got all of this laid out in a very clean way. And you also will get access to not only this, but that Excel sheet that I was showing you, to where you can see the full list of not just this class, but previous classes. So we really hope this is helpful for you guys and is a way to help you win some more of your leagues. And again, really appreciate everyone coming out last night. Excited for the draft tonight and tomorrow. So let's see what happens, and hope to see you guys in the next video.